There is a virtual workshop coming up on Saturday, June 7th, 2025, that you can join virtual live or get the recording. Virtual live is best. And it's called On the Making of Podcasts, Thoughts to Think as You Communicate Remotely with an Audience. And with us is Sam Payne. So, Sam, tell me more about podcasts and why you love them.
Well, podcasting is an exciting way to communicate. It's a way to communicate with people all around the world, and it's easier to do than it ever has been. The barriers to entry are lower than they've ever been. It's a great way to begin to build an audience for content that you create. So I'm excited to be presenting about it coming up on Saturday.
Well, and I had the pleasure to see you perform at the National Storytelling Conference last year, and I'm sure you've learned even more things since we've had that experience and everything. But for someone who is maybe new to the podcasting world versus someone who's already been, what would you say would be the differences of what they would get from this workshop? Because I think both of them would benefit.
Sure. Yeah. And at the National Storytelling Network conference, there was a similar presentation given by me about essentially some of the kind of ideological questions that you need to ask at the beginning of making a podcast. And we'll be talking about those same kinds of things in this workshop, but we'll also be talking about some of the other things that some novice podcasters find daunting. How do you amass the right kind of gear? How do you make a recording? We'll be kind of talking about some of those things from the ground up, in addition to some of the marketing and niching down kind of questions that characterize building a successful podcast.
Well, that will be fantastic. I have to wonder, with all those experiences, you have those really, favorite moments, and then you have the, oh, it's great to do a podcast, but this is maybe not so fun. And without sharing maybe too much, can you give us a little hint of maybe something that's more on the favorite side and one that's kind of, but it's still important?
Sure, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, my favorite stuff about making podcasts is everybody's favorite stuff about making podcasts. It's the writing, it's the performing, it's the communication. It's that part that appeals to sort of that artistic impulse, right? The more onerous stuff all has to do with, marketing and how you're going to grow an audience and how do you effectively communicate to people what your podcast is about and how do you build a community of listeners around it. But that can be exciting too. It's especially exciting when you see some of the things that you do starting to work and you see people discovering the work and you see people kind of coming and you see that community sort of forming. Those are always the most difficult things for me to engage in, but also in some ways, some of the most rewarding things when you see them paying off.
So then how do you keep that motivation up for the things that are harder?
Well, how do you keep the motivation up for the things that are harder? Well, again, you begin to see the things that you're doing working, and you find that artistic impulse finding expression in the hearts and minds of more and more and more people. Or, I mean, certainly you can talk about growth in those terms. You can talk about numbers of people coming to listen to your podcast, but you can also talk about depth. Some people say, I'd rather have a small audience and I'd like to impact them very deeply. And those kinds of things can be measured too in a lot of ways. And so there can be a lot of satisfaction in going deep, and there can be a lot of satisfaction in going broad. And of course, there are ways to do both.
Well, I think you've given some hope here. And that way, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, yes, I do want to experience this on June 7th and virtual live, because that's the best way, though there's a recording anyway, just in case, then you can join us. So go to that link below. It's storycrossroads.org/all things story. That way you'll find a time zone converter. So no matter where you are in the world, and also registration. So we can't wait to see you there.
Super excited to spend some time with you.